All right, well, let's take you through our top story tonight on India-US trade deal. We're looking at markets in the green today after the big breakthrough between India and the United States when it comes to trade. The deadlock has finally ended and India appears to have got a fair deal. In fact, United States President Donald Trump, late Monday night for India, early for the United States, announced after a phone call with Prime Minister Narendra Modi that Washington has now agreed to cut tariffs on Indian goods from 50% to 18%. Looks absolutely a win-win for India. That's a big relief for Indian exporters, especially in key sectors like engineering goods, textiles, chemicals, and auto components. This agreement comes after nearly a year of tensions between India and the United States. Relations had worsened when Trump imposed high tariffs on India because we were buying oil from Russia. Now, Trump says two sides have worked out a compromise, as India and US have worked out a compromise. And here's what Trump says. He says that India now has decided to reduce its dependence on Russian oil, something that India has not said. So, which is why it gets tricky. This India-US trade deal is not as clear as it's aimed to be, because there are several questions being asked of India. Did we really agree to not purchase oil from Russia? India says no, but Trump says we did. Trump says India has refused to, India at least will now move away from Russian oil and instead purchase oil from the United States, and more, that we will purchase coal, gas and oil from the United States going forward. This is what Trump says, his administration says. He has even suggested that India may begin importing oil from Venezuela now that US sanctions have been lifted. Things that India has not said but Trump is saying. Prime Minister Modi on his part though has welcomed the tariff reduction, describing his conversation with Donald Trump as wonderful. He's thanked the United States President for lowering duties on made in India products, but importantly, Modi did not mention, not a word in his tweet, about any commitment on India reducing Russian oil imports or making large energy purchases from the United States. So we're looking at a clear gap between what the two leaders have really said. In fact, Kremlin, Russia, has also reacted, saying that they've not heard anything from India about cutting oil purchases. Russia says it remains focused on strengthening Indo-Russian strategic ties. Well, what really happened here? How is Trump administration making those claims? Well, the most sensitive part is the numbers. Trump says India has agreed to make nearly 500 billion worth of trade with the United States. That's what Trump says. And that's what's all the more shocking, right? Trump has claimed that Prime Minister Modi has committed India to buying more than $500 billion worth of US goods. That covers energy, technology, agriculture, and raw materials. So we're looking at massive figures here that Trump claims but India has not committed to. And then it gets a lot more sensitive. Trump also goes on to speak about agricultural products that US will export to India, that we are going to take agricultural products from the United States with zero tariff. That's what Trump has also hinted at. Trump administration says that India has agreed to take in agricultural goods, which would eventually mean that our farmers would be affected, brutally affected. But the Indian government has pushed back. Government sources in India insist that there is no compromise on farmers' interest and that sensitive sectors like agriculture and dairy will continue to remain protected. The BJP, though, entirely has welcomed the India-US trade agreement, calls this a major opportunity, calling it one of the best deals that India has secured compared to its neighbors. But at the end of it, we still have no full clarity as to what this deal really suggests. On one hand, we're looking at 18% tariffs on Indian goods when we export it to the United States, but goods that's coming from the US to India, zero tariff. So really, where's the win-win? Though, let's take you through what Piyush Goyal had to say.
भारत की तेज गति से बढ़ती हुई अर्थव्यवस्था को विश्व के सामने जिस प्रकार से पेश किया है, उसके चलते भारत को ये बढ़िया डील माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के नेतृत्व में मिली है। मैं माननीय राष्ट्रपति डोनाल्ड ट्रंप का भी धन्यवाद करना चाहता हूं, जिन्होंने प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के मित्रता का सम्मान किया।
Well, That's what Piyush Goyal had to say. But let me tell you, India has stayed stern on its stance. It says we will continue to buy oil from wherever the world has to offer, where there's no sanctions on India, purely based on market prices and nothing under pressure. And then you have Trump, who says, no, India is going to be now, we'll stop buying from Russia, we'll move to Venezuela, we'll buy oil from the US. Claims that India has not corroborated, but yet at the same time, India is welcoming this trade deal. So a little tricky for us to take this to the face of it. Opposition leaders in India have been slamming the BJP government. The Congress party is demanding full transparency on what exactly India has agreed to. Rahul Gandhi has alleged that the deal was signed under pressure and that the government may have compromised national interests. Here's what Rahul Gandhi said in the opposition protesting outside the parliament today.
इस ट्रेड डील में आपकी मेहनत को, आपके खून पसीने को नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने बेच दिया है, और वो इसलिए बेचा है क्योंकि ये कॉम्प्रोमाइज्ड है। सिर्फ आपको नहीं बेचा है, देश को बेचा है।
Well, the opposition leaders there warning that such a deal could hurt Indian farmers, traders, domestic industries. They're also questioning why major announcements are coming from Donald Trump and not the Indian government instead. Shashi Tharoor spoke.
Opposition is only asking for clarity. We don't know what the deal contains. We have Mr. Trump's tweet and we have Mr. Modi's tweet. Is that enough in a parliamentary democracy? Shouldn't the government come and explain to the people of India what's in the deal? We have no idea. Mr. Trump says agriculture. So what are the protections for India's farmers? Mr. Trump says 500 billion. Our entire import bill is 700 billion. So are we going to stop buying from every other country and only buy from America? We need clarity. That's all. We just want to know. We would love to celebrate good news if it is good news. But please give us the details and we know whether we should celebrate.
All right. Well, did India really agree to tough conditions without revealing the fine print? Are we going to see the fine print of this deal? Trump says that he's decided on this deal with India out of sheer friendship with Prime Minister Modi, and this trade deal comes into effect immediately. That's what he says. But question is, did really India negotiate smart here? Well, at the end of it, we're looking at the markets faring green whole of today. We saw the rupee getting stronger. So sentiments are strong, but what in the long run? Let me bring in our panelists on board. Let's introduce. We have our BJP spokesperson, Manish Bariyar. We also have Advocate Arshpreet Khadial, spokesperson of the Congress, Surinder Singh Lali, member Export Promotion Committee for Handicrafts and US-Canada expert as well. Also Adit Kotari, Foreign Affairs and Geopolitical expert. I really appreciate all of you joining me right here. If I could bring in Manish Bariyar on that first, you could open with what the government thinks of this trade deal and what's your response to the opposition, and many asking, where's the fine print? Will we get to see that soon?
Good evening to you and to my co-panelists and all the viewers. It's something which is a very historic deal, and it's been in the making. But if you see what has happened in the last 7 to 8 months, I think India comes out as winner, and India comes out with its head held high. We all know how some of the countries in Europe and even Japan and South Korea, what happened there, and they were browbeaten into that. But we withstood the pressure, and I think you see that as a result of that we've had this kind of amazing trade deal where both the countries come out winner. I would not like to say that it's something which is one way or the other, and especially if you look at India has a trade surplus of 45 to 50 billion dollars. Now, if a country like India with US has a 45 to 50 US dollar kind of a billion US dollar surplus, it shows that India has been able to protect its interest. And I would like to also say very humbly that, like in most cases, Rahul Gandhi ji is wrong. The choice of words is so unfortunate. The markets have shown that what we have done, and they've given a thumbs up. Most of the people would like to wait because no trade deal can pass without being in parliament. And I think we should have the patience to, everything has to be passed in parliament and it would be discussed threadbare. So why this fear mongering? That I'm very, very sorry about.
So, no,
Like
but just
the
asking
way
you, well, I'm also going to bring in the trade expert on this. Adit, if you want to jump in on this, India exports with 80% duty, but imports from the United States, zero tariff on their goods. So, how can we really call this a win?
Nabila, to be fair, we are making all our assumptions on the basis of Donald Trump's tweet. There are no fine prints which have been outlined. There are no documentation that is available to our disposal at this point of time. And, going by historical precedents of Donald Trump's tweets and his posts on social media, I think it will be very naive for us to come to some sort of a conclusion. I mean, even his 500 billion uh, dollar exports to India, that in itself is very ambiguous, because is that meant to be over 10 years? Is that meant to be over 5 years? 2030 was the target. Does that encompass a comprehensive deal between India and the United States, or is it just United States exports to India? So it's very ambiguous at the moment, and I think arriving to any conclusion at this point, I think, will be very premature. And frankly, I think the opposition is doing massive disservice at the moment by raking up complete non-issues. I mean, there are significant issues that they can actually raise, which they're actually not fundamentally raising, and they're going after all of the non-issues where they are, I think, causing much more anxiety and anguish to the people of India. So, to say the least, I think we've come across a very hard time. When the tariffs were imposed, the GST reforms were the immediate the kind of comeback that the government did, the initiative that the government of the day took. We saw massive growths of consumption during that time, during the Diwali period.
No,
You
no, no.
also have to
Adit, I want you to zero down on the US trade deal. India-US trade deal, what more do we know? I mean, what's your understanding on this, right? If I could also bring in Surinder Singh Lali. Sir,
so I just
would you
want
want
to
to
make
come in on that? I want
so
I
just
want
one
clarity on what we know of the India-US trade
just
deal.
one
From
single
50%,
point.
we've come to 18%. But mind you, it's still 28% to 18%. 50%, the other 25% was punishment because India was buying oil from Russia, which India has still not stopped and has not refused to. But Trump, his own imagination, I don't know what it is, because the Indian government has clearly said that we have not said anything like that. They've stuck to their stand, but yet welcomed the deal. So it's a little confusing for us that what deal are we standing by?
So just one point, Nabila, before we go ahead to Mr. Lali.
Yeah.
The red lines of India, which is the agri-industry and the dairy. I think Mr. Goyal has come out to say clearly, those red lines are not being breached, and significant amount of protections will still be available to our predominant concerned sectors. So I don't understand why there is so much of noise being made about that particular aspect. Also, from a trade deal perspective, you also have to look at the competitive environment. UK, from where I am, we had a 0% deal with the United States. Now the base rate is 10%. So the base tariff rate is 10%. Amongst the competitive countries, the South Asian countries and the Southeast Asian countries, India is coming out the strongest at the point. Yes, 18% is higher than 0%, but it is still lower than 20% and 30% and 21%. So competitively, India is at a relative competitive position, which I think we should be celebrating at in the grand scheme of things. Thanks, Nabila.
Okay. Mr. Ali, your take on that. Do you believe that Trump claims India will eventually move towards zero tariffs on US goods like agriculture is something that we've got to believe, because Indian government has flatly refused it. But there's no clarification either that's come in. So we're a little confused. The opposition, of course, picking on it, saying the farmers are slighted. They're going to be now, they will be bleeding. Imagine us taking in US agricultural goods. What happens to our farmers? The government has said we will protect farmers at all costs, but the fine print, the actual detail, none of it we know.
Nabila, you just said we're confused, the opposition's confused. So please don't allow my smile to undermine the seriousness of the issue, but so is Donald Trump. The gentleman, shoots and scoots. Look at the way he's been handling whatever he's been doing. The tariffs are in court. He went to Greenland to get Greenland, and then he comes back with a face saver. So the larger point I'm trying to make is that, Nabila, the jury is still out. It's too early. The joint declaration is not made yet. Having said that, but let me comment on what I see prima facie. As an Indian, and despite being totally apolitical, I'm feeling proud as an Indian because Donald Trump administration and what he calls his kitchen cabinet, they tried to provoke India in every possible manner. It was an invite to antagonize and call us the Maharaja of tariff and a dead economy. And look what has happened. It has just come back, the entire circle, they've come back to us. So while I'm still going to wait, the jury's out, but thus far, the silver lining, Nabila, is that he gave us European Union as a collateral gift. Now we know that we cannot depend on the mercantilist Donald Trump. America has lost credibility. China has customers, America had allies. All those allies are out the window. 27 of them under the European Union came to India and signed the mother of all deals. Now we're looking at 27 countries, the second largest economy in the world. And fortunately, now 27 heads of state, we are not dependent on the mood swings of one individual who gets up and says reciprocal tariffs. I mean, I thought Donald Trump has good English, and I've lived in America for very long. Reciprocity does not mean that 0% and 18%. Now, what sort of English is that? So for me, getting back to the larger issue is that the jury's out. We'll keep debating on it, but thus far, the United States has come full circle, and now he needs a face saver. So everybody's confused in the United States, and Donald Trump, please understand, this is not the end of it, even what Donald Trump says, because he has his back against the wall in terms of the Epstein files, in terms of calling National Guard into the country, in terms of inflations, and the tariffs are still in court. So the last word, Nabila, has yet to be said on this. But thus far, the Indian government, under the able leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, made a point that we did not succumb to the pressure. In fact, we went out sideways and built more plan Bs and Cs instead of being dependent on the mood swings of the most powerful man who has his button, hand on the nuclear button. So thus far, not much has been. We are still wait, but so far, so good.
Okay. Arshdeep, if I could come to you, why assume pressure now without really seeing the final agreement? If we have to compare India with other countries, let me tell you, China now bears 34% of tariffs against the United States. You have Pakistan with 19%. India is still less, right? Better than us is only European Union, Japan and South Korea. So with a whimsical Donald Trump who's hopping around slapping tariffs on every country, India is that way pulled off a fairly good deal, don't you think, in comparison?
Thank you for the question. All the Namaste Trump events, Howdy Modi events, Ab Ki Baar Trump Sarkar, all those hugs, all those statements, and what do we get? 18% tariffs. And Mr. Modi thanks Donald Trump for this. Is this what we have come to? I mean, 0% tariff is good. 18% is not good. And what you are reportedly willing to give to US, 0% tariffs, that is considered good. You are giving them the best parting gift, but you are not willing to do anything for the people of India. I want to ask the Bharatiya Janata Party's government, the BJP's regime, that the US president has categorically said that Modi has agreed to stop buying Russian oil from Russia, and therefore he'd start buying it from US and Venezuela. And we want to ask the Bharatiya Janata Party government, why are you not rebutting it if what he is saying is not true? Back in the day, he said, on the basis of trade, I got the ceasefire done between India and Pakistan. You did not say anything. He said it, he kept on saying it to the world that he got it done. So I want to ask the Bharatiya Janata Party. He's also said that because of Mr. Modi's request, the trade deal is finally coming to an effect. We want to ask the Bharatiya Janata Party, how do we believe that what he's saying is not true? There's only one way. If Mr. Modi says he's being misquoted, if Mr. Modi rebuts it, but Mr. Modi hasn't uttered a word, neither at the time of ceasefire when Mr. Trump was saying it again and again to the world, when he was saying that if you want trade to happen, you'll have to do a ceasefire. Mr. Modi didn't once say anything on that. Today, when he's saying all these things, Mr. Modi is not saying that I'm being misquoted, that I haven't said these things. Why not? Why the Bharatiya Janata Party ought to tell us. And number two, on one hand, they talk about Make in India. They talk of Skill India. They talk of Digital India. They talk of so many things. And on the other hand, Has the Bharatiya Janata Party not agreed that India would buy $500 billion products from America? And when it comes to our farmers, when it comes to our industries, when it comes to the people of India, the traders of India, why has the Bharatiya Janata Party compromised on their interest? Why do you not do anything about that? Because they are saying that we'll protect the interest of the farmers. We don't want ankade. We do not want statements only. We want action on the ground. And Mr. Modi, back in the day, had said we'll double the farmers' income by 2022. That did not happen. How do we believe that this will happen? Parliament happens to be a temple of democracy. It is a temple of democracy. Democracy is of the people, for the people, by the people, not of the BJP, for the BJP, by the BJP. So what possible problem do you have in coming out to the parliament? Why do you not have transparency? Why do you not have accountability? Why do you
Isn't
not
it too
want to take the
soon?
parliament
Maybe
into confidence?
our BJP spokesperson clearly says that it's going to come. There will be a conversation in the parliament soon. Should we wait?
When?
Should
Why
we
so
wait?
much delay? Why
Well,
dilly-dally? It's such an important
we
issue. Our
rather
farmers are
delay than not
concerned.
have the deal. At least the
Our
deal got
farmers-
done. The
our
deal got
farmers are
done for the
concerned.
moment.
My only request is, our farmers are concerned, our traders are concerned, our industry is concerned, our economy is concerned, the people of India are concerned, our future is concerned. We do not want this dilly-dallying. We do not want these delays. Please, the Bharatiya Janata Party, if you have, party interest comes first for you. What of nation's interest? What of India's interest? Why does the Bharatiya Janata Party not prioritize nation's interest instead of prioritizing the party's interest? So,
No,
please, by
Arshpreet,
now
the
it
fact
already
that
should have-
Indian
by
traders
now
have
the
been
parliament
bleeding
already
for
should have
so
been taken
long,
into
it's been
conference.
much over a year that there's been tensions between India and the United States. Our exporters, our traders have been bleeding. This trade deal has come as a relief for them. It's a ray of hope that things are moving forward. The markets are showing green. The rupee has gotten stronger. So there is a strong sentiment
How
towards...
strong? How strong? What's the value of rupee
Oh,
today?
please. If you have to compare it with, let's not ask how strong. It's still better than what it was, right? I can't give you a specific...
I mean, really, is that what we are going to say? This is what we need. This is good. This is better.
No, in a situation
I'd
like
say-
this, it's
I'd say
absolutely
the Bharatiya
better.
Janata Party. No, I'm sorry, I do not agree. When people of India say that they cannot afford it, Mr. Modi needs to hear it. The Bharatiya Janata Party ought to hear it. We are suffering setbacks one
Okay,
after another.
Arshpreet, what do you
and
think?
They say it is
what do
better.
you think Prime Minister Modi should have done? What do you think he should have done?
Well, number one, he should have ensured that the parliament was taken into confidence before saying anything or doing anything. Number two, Mr. Modi ought to do some press conferences. In the last 11 years, he has done none. Zero. Man ki baat, he has been imposing it on the country.
Don't go into
but
rhetoric.
when would he hear the country's man ki baat?
Tell us how
When
could he
would
have
he
better
hear the
handled the
country's
trade
man
deal?
ki baat?
Now I'm asking
Is
you,
what
how
we're
could he have better handled the trade deal in your view?
Well, that's exactly what I'm talking about. अपने मन की बात छोड़ के देश के मन की बात सुने. Bring it about in the parliament, discuss it with the opposition. Opposition has a lot of experience to offer. Then we should all go as one. The Bharatiya Janata Party's failures and blunders have landed us into all these tariffs, have landed us into all these blunders and fiascos. We do not want any more of them. We want development. We want growth. And what the Bharatiya Janata Party is doing today, thanking it for 18% tariffs, that is not growth. 0% tariffs is growth.
Look,
Or-
Arshpreet, okay, would you
were
at
quoting
least,
China,
would
huh?
you appreciate,
quoting China.
would you
I'll give
appreciate
one
that
more
India
example.
wasn't staying
You were
lull?
quoting China.
Yeah.
Did China not come up with counter tariffs? Should we not come with counter tariffs? If they impose 50% tariffs on us, why do we not go for 100? Why do we not go for a 150? If they're coming to 18%, why do we not go for 20 on them? Why are we going for 0 and they're coming up for 18? We are having we are basically having the losing side. We're on the losing side. And the Bharatiya Janata Party, instead of addressing the issue, they have only been diverting, dodging and deflecting. Nothing else than that.
Under the same Bharatiya Janata Party, we've just signed the EU deal.
So what of the US deal? Do we not talk of the US
No,
deal?
we
Should
will
forget
talk about it. But no, is it so?
$500 billion
But it's
mean
easy for you to
nothing.
let that go.
$500
It's easy for you to
mean
let that
nothing.
go.
$500 billion mean nothing. Farmers' interest means nothing. Industry's
So
interest means
that's
nothing.
precisely a figure
So
that
I'm sorry,
that
one
isn't
second.
corroborated by
going
the
to buy-
Indian government,
are we going to buy
which
oil
is why,
from
of
US
course,
now?
see,
Are
look,
we going to buy oil from
I
US
agree.
now?
I agree with what you're
Venezuela
saying.
now.
The information is so ambiguous. It's very difficult right now for even the BJP to counter. So clearly, you have a lot of ammunition here. That said, if I could bring in Manish Barrier on that, Manish, $500 billion trade. That's what Trump has said. And there's no counter yet. Even Piyush Goyal spoke, but he only spoke about criticism from the opposition, saying that it's disgraceful, it's, it's such a tragedy that the opposition thinks that way, etc. But nothing to the bottom of it. What do we know of the trade deal? What better do we know of this? And can you categorically say that India has decided not to buy Russian oil?
No, first I would like to say to Mr. Arshdeep ji that he was talking about countervailing duties. I would like to inform you as well as the entire country that we did that. We did put 30% tariff on US pulses. You can go and check. It's just that it was such a critical phase and such a delicate deal that it was also always about country first. I think the Prime Minister showed maturity, the Prime Minister showed vision, and you can see that how much he cares for the country. He put it his own personal integrity in terms of he was attacked personally. He knew and he made that statement that you will see a lot of pain coming as far as personally I am concerned, but I'll do it for the country. And that is what you should look at it. This is the most important deal for the country. We know that millions and millions of jobs are indirectly or directly related to IT professionals, to gems and jewelries, to leather exports, to I can count on that, and that was all impacted, even textiles. So and we have a as I said earlier, 50 billion surplus with US. So let's take up, even if there is a criticism about zero tariff, you still look at that. India still benefits a lot. But since the fine prints have not come, and as I said earlier, that this deal is going to be in the parliament, there's going to be standing committee, and it's going to be discussed threadbare, and there the entire opposition would have an opportunity to contribute positively to this deal. So, there's no question of fear mongering. And as Mr. Lali also said, and I think, the geopolitical expert, I'm sorry I missed his name, apologies for that. He said so clearly that, look, this deal is now a very, very important deal from so many angles. And he mentioned so many points, I don't want to repeat that. But please understand that this deal is the deal of the entire world. The entire world was waiting how India is going to respond. And look at the
but
courage
India
of this
has
government.
managed a deal with 18%. They brought down tariffs, but I don't know where we stand on many sectors. That's the confusion.
No. See,
it looks
very clear.
positive on paper.
You look at Nabila ji. Have we ever in any deal, right from WTO, people who know general agreements on tariffs and trade, that agreement, GATT agreement, to when WTO was done, India was at the forefront of agriculture and labor issues. These were the two things which India has never compromised. You show me.
So you're saying no matter what, farmers' interests will not be compromised. US agricultural goods will not come to India duty free. You're assuring that will not happen.
And you tell me that why was this deal stuck at the first place itself? What was that contentious issue because of which India was not signing that deal? And that was always about agriculture and nothing else. Dairy and agriculture are the two areas which are a big no-no.
That I agree. I absolutely agree.
Did the deal happen on Mr. Modi's behest?
No. What are you talking? I don't know.
I'm sorry. I don't
Modi's
behest, as in?
I don't understand you.
One second. I'm asking. The question is the US deal that Donald Trump is talking about. He said that it is being done on the request of Mr. Modi. So is that true or is that not?
He says out of friendship.
When it comes to country, these are just the agents. It's about one country to another. I'm sure you understand, Arshdeep ji, that these are deals which are going to be there in existence for 50, 100, 200 years. The personalities do not matter much. Of course, they have a opinion, but it's the country to country.
On Mr. Modi's request.
So, see.
So what do you mean on Mr. Modi's request? I didn't quite get you.
I'll tell you what I mean. Donald Trump has said it, that on Mr. Modi's request, the trade deal is being done. My question to the Bharatiya Janata Party is, did Mr. Modi agree to stop buying oil from Russia and start buying it from US?
They've said no. There has been a confirmation that came from the government that they will buy oil from wherever they get.
then
Just to
we are promising 0% tariffs, but we are letting them impose 18% tariffs on us. So is the Bharatiya Janata Party, what I'm trying to ask here is that has Mr. Modi requested for this? Is what we are trying to know from the BJP spokesperson. I don't know why is he not clear on that? Did Mr. Modi request or not?
I thought that you've become mature enough to understand that
Well,
what
look,
Mr.
look
Donald
what
Trump
happens when we follow your
writes
footsteps.
about,
Look what
what he
happens when we
writes
follow your
and whether
footsteps.
he means or
That is
not.
why we do not follow your footsteps.
Okay, as I'm very short of time, I want to give Adit a chance as well, and Mr. Lali. Adit, over to you.
So, the kind of disingenuous arguments that we are getting
No, I'm
to
not.
hear,
I don't want
Nabila,
you to
is
get into
quite sad.
politics. Adit, you stick to
I
trade. No
understand.
politics. I request
I
you.
understand.
Yeah.
I understand, but it's very hard to hold back, when the
No,
other
but
side is
then
being
give us
so
facts. Then
disingenuous.
answer
That's
to what
exactly
Ashpreet
what I'm coming.
asked.
That's exactly what I'm coming to. Venezuela hardly produces the kind of oil that India actually needs. This is something which factually can be checked and is available. The data is available. When it comes down to Russian oil, India is slowly ramping down on Russian oil, but that is not because of the US pressures. It is predominantly because of the market forces. Initially we were getting discounts anywhere between $10 to $12 a barrel. Today they're down to $2 to $3 a barrel. So it doesn't make viable sense any longer to go for non-sanctioned oil. It's as simple as that. There was a point, there was a brilliant article in Nikkei Asia in 2022 where they said, how India was actually helping the world by buying Russian crude and refining it in Jamnagar and exporting it to the EU. I'm sure very soon we might just start doing that with the Venezuelan oil. Who knows? But, these are things in the future. From a Russian oil perspective, we are still continuing to buy Russian oil. Even the February stats are out there. Sorry, the January stats are out there. It's there in the public domain. India hasn't stopped buying Russian oil. There is clear clarifications being provided by the MEA that we are strategically non-aligned. We have our own national interests, and we will go as per our driven by our national interests. So I don't understand where there is an ambiguity with regards to the Russian oil aspect, and with regards to the silence aspect. It doesn't make sense to go up and keep confronting a provocative bully. Strategic silence is necessary, and that is what India has demonstrated. You've demonstrated strategic resilience. You've gone ahead and executed your plans with the EU. The EU FTA with India was in the loom since 2007. Since 2007, what was the reason why it got expedited all of a sudden? And then the India-US trade deal or the bilateral deal gets expedited within 6 days. Did anybody see Scott Bessent's interview in ABC? How disarrayed he was, how nervous he was, and how dissatisfied he was with the EU because of the fact that India and EU were able to stitch up that deal. So these are things that the opposition, and I'm sure that the people of India do take into cognizance, and I'm sure everybody's been watching the way things are being conducted.
Okay,
Nabila.
Mr. Lali.
Nabila, as you rightly said, I don't wish to get into the slugfest between party A and party B, but I'm not too sure when somebody says that Mr. Modi hasn't responded, because no response is a very powerful response. You don't want to respond to somebody who's going to double down. Look at the way he treated his allies who've been virtually dependent on him since the Second World War. So that response is also a response. And please understand,
I beg to differ on that. When it comes to your own country who put you to power, you are answerable. And people of the country want to know what end of the deal they've got.
Yes,
so
but Nabila,
we as a nation are waiting. We are waiting to what exactly the fine print is. And I think that should come soon.
So I think, Nabila, the joint statement is not even out yet. So diplomacy is not a zero-sum game. Please understand. I understand that people want to know, opposition will, take the party into court. But the larger issue is that diplomacy is not a zero-sum game. You have to understand.
But this is not diplomacy, sir. This is trade. We're talking about trade.
But they're both linked. Let me tell you one more thing. That Donald Trump is not the end of it. It's not America. The Donald Trumps might come and go. So maybe this December he loses the House and the Senate. So we can't just take decisions based on, on a knee-jerk reaction. It's not a zero-sum game, but I understand that people want quick answers. That's the way the new world is. But please understand that our relationship is with America and not Donald J. Trump. So
Correct.
there is a lot more to what needs to pan out. And as we say in America, the jury's still out, Nabila. So
Yeah.
we need to hold our horses.
Yeah, and since there's so much ambiguity about this deal, we still can't comment, can't go into details. But Manish, I apologize. That's all I have time for. I really appreciate all of you joining us. I'm going to come back on this. We'll surely have the fine print. I'm hoping soon enough we'll be back here to discuss.